So if you're going to take part in this session, you will need a band. Probably a good idea to have a piece of paper and pen as well and make some notes, because it's going to be a little bit of a mixture of a talk and rehabby type exercises. Okay, it's a bit of a mix, and it's also a chance for you to ask some questions as well. So I put this on tonight because so many people have been asking me about knees, so I hope they listen to it on catch up. I have to stress, really, firstly, I'm not physio. My nephew is a physio, and the exercises I'm going to give you are from a fitness-based background rather than from a physio type. So I'm talking about if you've got weak muscles, if you've got achy muscles, if you've got glutes not necessarily firing properly, rather than if you've got ligaments, cartilage, tendon type problem, okay? That's a different kettle of fish. But if it is just that you just ache a little bit, or maybe you're not firing up the muscles that you should be, then this is the right stuff for you. So my question to you first is, I'm going to take a seat. So get a pen and paper because you will be making notes here. My question is, what do you do if you run? You know, I've talked about this in the run clinics and the masterclasses of that. But if you run or you cycle, A, do you warm up? B, do you cool down? C, do you fire up your glutes? Because if you want to run, let's think of all the major muscles. Let's just use running an example. But even if you play netball or hockey, you're running and you're doing intermittent running, so a version of intervals. So your glutes need to be very much switched on. So let's just think about running, for instance. Quads, front of the leg, hamstrings, glutes. This is where your power comes from. If you're not using this correctly, the glute, then you are then going to go into your IT band, a bit of your quads, and definitely into your calf, which will then go into your Achilles. So this has to be firing. If this isn't firing, you are going to have problems in the muscles of these areas. Eventually, because of the attachments, that's going to come across onto the knee. So for instance, if I'm really tight here, I can quite often have uncomfortableness on the inside of my knee. And it's all related. So let's just think about posture to start with. How do you stand? Let's not think just for those 30 minutes or 45 minutes that you run or you do 10-minute workout. Think about the rest of the day. How do you stand? How do you stand? How do you sit? So are you standing like this? Are you standing like this? Do you carry one bag over your shoulder? Do you carry the baby on the shoulder or on the hip? You know, think about being smart and thinking about posture throughout the whole of the day. So when you sit, try and sit with your back nice and straight and set your laptop or whatever into a position where you can actually be engaging the core and not just being lazy and sitting like this. I look at so many people in their cars when they're at the traffic lights and they sit, they slump, they lean. So the abs are really relaxed. They're leaning one side, they're putting a strain on one side. Everything's out of kilter, okay? So we need to think about that. That's really important. So I'm going to give you some real basic exercises. Now I want you to think, this is not a workout as such. This is me giving you exercises that you can do to build up. So some of you say, yeah, my knees hurt a little bit. But the bottom line is, you gotta think why that is happening. Are you coming out of your front door and you're going straight into your run? Or are you building up and doing a warm up first? Because if I got straight out of bed and then went straight into a HIIT workout without any form of a warm up, then things are gonna hurt. Bottom line, things will hurt. So you have to think about that. If you've been diagnosed with arthritis, you need to speak to a physio and a doctor about that. That is not something as a sports fitness person I can go into. okay? But there is a how-to video all on squats and how to squat properly. So I'm not going to break that down because there is a video already in this series about that. But I'm going to try and get you to think about the muscles that we work and how we work them. So 1, make a note, posture. 2, warm up. 3, cool down. So I want you to think now, and there are warm up and cool down videos in the topics as well. So I want you to think that we've just done a bit of a warm up, we're nice and loose. This is not a workout, this is showing you exercises. So I want you to take your feet just a little wider than hip width apart. I want your knees slightly bent and your abdominals engaged. Now all I want is just a little squat, halfway. Now as you do that, your knees, your hips should be in line and your knees should be over your second and third toe. So if you can do this facing someone or recording yourself or do it into a big mirror, have a little look where your knees go. Because if you're tight, say the hip, the lower back, and the glutes are not firing properly, what will happen, maybe not when you just do one like this, but what will happen is that the knee will come in, particularly when you get down lower. So this is why I say it's important that you take a step back and you break it down. So just halfway, and really be mindful of where the knees are. I always picture in my head that I've got the headlights of a car here and they are going straight. So when I do a run analysis, that's the first thing I check, is where and how somebody walks and then how somebody squats. Okay? So that's point 1. Point 2, can you now do it with your heel up on one foot? Keep this knee and hip and toes in line. So push your bottom back, abdominals in. Now it's not about going really low, it's about keeping this alignment. Then try the other side. How does that feel? Does it feel different from one side to the other? Okay. Then progress that to balancing on one leg. Keeping the knee, the ankle, the foot, the hip all in line. Now, let's do the other side, then I'm going to ask you a question. Do 4. Okay, so my first question is, where did you feel that? Did you feel it more in the quads, the hamstrings, or the glutes? If you felt it dominantly from the quads, that means your glutes are not firing enough. Doesn't mean they're switched off, because you wouldn't be able to stand if they're switched off. But it means they've got a bit lazy. And we can switch them back on really, really quickly. But you're not going to get them switched on by not working them. So again, I'm going to give you some exercises, but also any of the booty type workouts will be great for you. Anything where we're doing bar, for instance, or head on the hands on the floor, glute presses, all of those, so good. Okay, so don't neglect these things. If you want to get fitter, you want to get stronger, you want to get more power and less aches and pains, the strength and conditioning is invaluable. Honestly, it's about smarter training. So my first question was that. My second question is, was there a difference in stability from one leg to the other? Did you feel more wobbly on one side? So let's take that back to running, where there's impact. If you're running correctly, at some point, and it is only a fraction, both feet, not this high, obs, but both feet are off the floor. So there's the floor, and both feet will be off the floor at some point. You also drive with that back foot from the glutes. So you need balance, you need stability. So if you haven't got balance when you do a squat, if you're wobbling, that's how you're going to run. So you want to get faster, you want to get stronger, you've got to do these exercises. Okay? I want people going, yeah, but my knees hurt. Do the exercises, work on these weaknesses, then see if the knees hurt. If you can't stand on one leg, say, for instance, for 30 seconds, and maybe do a calf raise without wobbling all over the place, you shouldn't be doing squat jumps. So that's why we always say squat jump, for instance, or just squats. Okay? At the end of the day, you have to choose and work with your body and your own goals. So, squats addressed. Now come and take a seat. And I want you to put one foot on the floor and I want you to extend the other leg. Now I want the foot slightly turned out, only ever so slightly. So not like that, just slightly, and the foot flexed. Now I want you to squeeze the thigh. Squeeze the thigh. Keep breathing. Squeeze it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release. So you should have felt that in the quad. Because quite often we can become more dominant in the hamstring. This area takes over rather than the glutes and rather than the quads. So we need to again get these switched on. So we need to isolate. And as much as squats and lunges are fantastic, they use multiple muscle groups at the same time. So this completely isolates and works the one side and the one muscle group. Bear in mind your quad, part of your quad comes over the top of the knee. Can you tell that I get quite excited about the anatomy? But I think it's fascinating how the body works. Let's do the same on the other side. So we extend it, we turn it out slightly. Now contract. And again, I want you to compare the two sides. Feel that through your quad. Four, 3, 2, 1, and release. Now ideally, you would do that for 10 to 15 seconds, 3 times through. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay? So if you did these a couple of times a week, just whilst you're watching the telly, job done. Okay, let's move on. You're now going to sit right on the edge of your chair. And I want you to sit up nice and tall. Now, you're going to have the right knee bent and you're going to straighten the left leg. Don't worry if you've got a different mirror image. Just you take your left leg forward. Now, make sure you're not going to fall off your chair. Toes are back and all I want you to do is lean yourself forward. Now, you should feel the stretch in the calf and in the hamstring. And we do this in every single class. We stretch, we lengthen. Now I want you to turn the toes ever so slightly out and see if you feel it in a slightly different angle. And then the toes ever so slightly in. And then back to center and slowly come up. Lovely. Let's do the same on the other side. So this foot is flat. I want you to lean yourself forward. Pull the toes back. How does it feel stretch-wise from left to right? Is there a difference? This is why I love doing one side then the other, because you've got the time. Now turn the toes out ever so slightly. And then turn the toes in ever so slightly. And then come back to center and slowly come all the way up. Good. Okay, have a little shake out. So next one, calf raises. So against the chair or the wall, loose not gripping onto your chair. And all I want you to do is go right up onto your toes. Now, I say this in class a lot, and I want you to think about this. I have a tendency on one foot to draw my toes under, to claw. And I want you to kind of keep your toes relaxed. I want you to drive up onto all of your toes, but primarily your big toe. Because if you think about it again, when we do impact or we run, we drive and we come up on that big toe. So if we can't do this, we shouldn't be running. Because all you're doing is gambling and going, today hopefully I won't get injured. Do the foundation work first. So, just regular calf raises. Then, try and do one leg. And again, what's useful here is if you can get someone behind you to see whether the range is the same on the left and the right. Have a little look at mine. Remember, a few years ago, I completely tore my calf. If you can see my calf raises, so you can see the difference. Now, this is something I'm working on. This is work in progress. So, this is one. And then this is my other one. Can you see a difference in range? Can you see that there is a limitation in one side? Now, probably 2 years ago, that was significantly more. There is still a difference. It is still work in progress. And it doesn't mean because now I can run and I can run pain-free that I stop doing these exercises. It doesn't mean that. It means that I just keep doing these and I enjoy running as well. Okay, so 2 legs and then the single legs. And really you should be able to do at least 30 or 40 pain-free on both sides. Now let's move on to glute strengthening. So we talked a little bit of flexibility, mobility, strength through the quads, but we also need to make sure that we've got the power and the strength in our glutes. So we've done these numerous times in classes, but we put the band around the thighs, sink down, chest is up, and we step out. Now have a little look that you see I'm not bringing my feet together, I'm just bringing them into hip width. This is going to work my glute med. A lot of legs, bums and tums type sessions work glute max. When we run, when we walk, when we lunge, squat, jack, whatever we might do, more often we use our glute meds. So these need to be strong. So these movements, or this movement, is brilliant for us. Can be with or without a band. The clam is also in our how-to series. Have a look at that. That is a phenomenal glute strengthening exercise. And when you're doing a single leg squat, if you're not feeling it in your glute, start from today putting the clam into your program. Okay? Okay, then obviously we've got our regular normal squats. We've got our regular lunge. Back heel off the floor, knees at 90 degrees, hips square, chest up. Okay. Then we also have the IT band. So if we're not firing from the glutes adequately, if we're tight in the hips, we're going to have discomfort coming across and into this lower back area, into what is known as the quadratus lumborum. So when you see us do this stretch, the foot behind and the same arm as the back leg, that is a key stretch for you. So it's over, and then you turn and you float. Now if you sit a lot, if you drive, if you're at your laptop, this is key. Because think about it. This isn't doing the work. Now, when I start running, this is doing the work. In time, these get lazy. This is still not working. It goes down to here. Much smaller muscle. This area then gets really tight. We get what is known as piriformis syndrome, where we get really tight in here. Again, there's in the topics, foam roller, and also the spiky balls. They are in there for you. There is so much information out there. I guess in a way, it can be a little bit overwhelming. The whole point of this is to give you the tools to think, right, I want to get fitter. I want to be able to run further, faster, but I don't want to necessarily do more training. And why should I do more training? You don't. I'm here to tell you you don't. You need to train smart. So you need to make sure you warm up, you cool down, you do your run drills, which will activate these muscles. You think about the training plan you do each week. So on a Sunday, when you're planning what you're doing for the week ahead, maybe if there's a 10-minute lower body workout and you're going out for a run, that could be perfect. That could be perfect for you. Think, are you including mobility into your training? Are you doing the yoga? Are you doing the Pilates? If the answer is no, and you're saying, but I've got knee pain, what are you doing to get rid of that knee pain? You've got to take responsibility. Okay? Glutes, are you firing them? If you're sitting, you know, even if you get up for like every half an hour and walk around for 30 seconds, 1 minute, it's still not going to be enough. They're going to get lazy, so you need to switch them on. You need to remind them to do the work, okay? So the glute exercises will do that for you. A lot of information there. The ones that are listening, is there anything there you would like to ask me? Because I want you to think about your body being a bit like, stay with me on this, like a house. And rather than you just putting in all the beautiful interior design, I want you to build the foundation first. I want you to get the bricks, get the foundation, get the roof on, and then we start putting all the nice, furry, attractive curtains, etc. inside. Make sense? It won't, if you're thinking, but I don't run. You might not run, but you might do a calorie blaster with me. You might do a burpee. If you're stronger and you're more evenly balanced and your posture is better, then you're going to get better results from those sessions as well. You're going to have less aches and pains. And that's key. Okay, so I'm going to love you and leave you. Hopefully that's given you a lot of information. Hopefully you've made a few notes. And obviously, if you've listened to this and you want to ask me any specific questions, just ping me a message and I'll get back to you. I am working later this evening, but yeah, we all are. You know, I carry a bag and it's good to recognise, you know, but I carry a bag quite often over always this same shoulder and then here. But this is the tighter shoulder, the tighter hip. And I know why. But then if you know why and you continue to do it, you've got to ask yourself, is that insanity? You know, let's change things so that we can then go into 2021. You know, at the end of the day, if you're doing any impact, whether it's running or you're doing jumpy stuff, you are more likely to get injured than if you don't. However, the rule of thumb is that we tend to not get injured whilst we're working out. It's when we reach for something or we pick something up from the floor. It's a quick, sudden movement. And then people go, oh yeah, I did that when I did that. but you did it because you had a weakness that you weren't addressing. That's why. Okay? What are the best exercises to get the thigh muscle stronger? I've just demoed them. I've just absolutely demoed them. So if you've just joined in, then look back on the video. But yeah, the quad one, the seated one, the single leg squats. But remember, it isn't about just getting these. Because if you're feeling it, if I do a squat, as soon as I've done that, I can honestly tell you I've just done one and I felt that in my glutes. That hasn't always been the case. I am now running pain-free. And, you know, bear in mind years ago, I was a decent runner. I've also had a number of years out because of these serious injuries. And I would, you know, I'm telling you this because I'm no golden child. I've had the physio and then they've said you can run. And I've gone, right, great, I'm back into running. And then I've stopped the physio and I've stopped doing those exercises. Learn from my mistakes. These exercises need to be part of your life. And I can honestly tell you this, sincerely, this year, because I'm doing a lot more of these shorter workouts, my glutes are working. I am running pain-free. I could go out now and run 10, 11 miles, pain-free. I could not do that at the beginning of the year. And that is because of the strength and conditioning work. I promise you. So do it. It will make you faster. It will make you more agile, more mobile. It will just make everything feel more fluid. Okay? Are they fun? Not necessarily, but we try and make them fun by putting them into a workout. So what I've shown you tonight, they're kind of more physio. They can get quite boring, and that's why we don't do them. But if you come to a class and you strip it back and slow things down, but you're still doing, for instance, the side step, but maybe at a different pace, you're getting the music, you're getting the atmosphere, you're getting the coaching without being bored. Okay? Right. I could talk all night about knees and the body. I find it fascinating. But I do hope you found that useful. And we, you know, if you like me doing these types of things, we can bring more in next year. And actually, I wanted to just finish on that if there's anything on this program as we go into 2021 that you want, you let me know, because within reason, I will try and do it. All right? Because I always think people want the talks, but maybe people don't want the talks. I don't know. I love them and I find them interesting, but you let me know what you want. Okay? Thank you very, very much for joining me. I know it's a busy time of year and half an hour out is hard, but I hope you found it useful. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. See you soon, guys. Claire will see you at 7 and I will see you tomorrow morning at 7:30. Okay? Bye-bye.